The UNC Pembroke football team won its homecoming game against nationally ranked Tuskegee 29-17 last week. Rontonio Stanley rushed for 131 yards and 3 touchdowns to hand the Golden Tigers their first loss of the season. Defensive end Mike Keck registered 3 sacks to bring his season total to 9 and marking a new school record. UNCP has a bye this week before facing North Alabama on October 17th. The Braves volleyball team notched their first conference win, a 5-set thriller at Francis Marion, and senior Nicole Matthews and newcomer Jenna Dunsmore both recorded double-doubles. The other big story in Braves athletics this past week was weather. Hurricane Joaquin kept cross-country from competing at the Upstate Invitational and forced the cancellation of the Myrtle Beach Intercollegiate for women's golf. On the pitch, the scheduled men's and women's soccer games between UNCP and Flagler are postponed until Monday, October 26th. And the 2015-16 schedules for men's and women's basketball have been released. Check uncpbraves.com for more information and to purchase tickets. The Black and Gold Report starts now. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Black and Gold Report, presented by Pepsi, a show all about UNC Pembroke athletics. I'm Jenna Davison, and today on the show we're going to be recapping the homecoming football game with head football coach Shane Richardson, and later in the show we're going to be talking cross country with head coach Peter Ormsby. But first, we're joined by Coach Richardson. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Jenna, and actually I want to welcome you back from a 2-week hiatus as well.
Yes. Well, let's jump right into football. After a 2-week loss at North Greenville, the Braves bounced back with a big win on Saturday, a 29-17 victory over 17th ranked and previously unbeaten Tuskegee to celebrate homecoming. What are your thoughts coming out of this game?
Very pleased with the way that our team took the adversity from North Greenville and what took place there, and then we're able to bounce back and take the messages that we tried to really coach into them, and they applied them. And I couldn't be more proud of our coaching staff, the way that they really coached hard and stayed the course as well, and then the players that actually took and received the coaching, and they bought into everything that we talked about. And I really thought that there was a togetherness that really took place last week. We had a great focus in practice. We knew that it wasn't devastating, but we knew we had to learn from it. And so the sense of urgency was there, the maturity was there, and I really liked our poise, and we were confident going into that game, and it was great to be able to finish it on Saturday. And so I was very pleased and very proud of our team.
Well, some question marks heading into the weekend about whether this game would even be played or not, but the field crews were able to get Grace P. Johnson Stadium ready. How much did weather and the field conditions play into the outcome of this game?
Well, I think they may have played into it a little bit, but our field crew did a fantastic job. Our administration had a great plan, and at the leadership of Dick Christie, he had a great plan with all the parts needed to get together on that and be well ahead of the weather and making sure that we were able to play that game. I think since both teams had to play in it, it really doesn't become a factor, and that's really the selling point that you have to give to your team. And so there was some splashing around out there, and there were some water spots, and you can see it on the film, but all in all, I really believe that we played one of our all-around best games of the year in those conditions, and so I would say and like to say that it wasn't a factor for us.
Well, the Braves registered season bests in both points with 29 points scored and 388 yards of total offense. What kind of confidence did you see from your offense, and how happy are you with the progression of that unit?
Well, what I liked was the way that they really came out, and we wanted to come out and create momentum from the get-go. We were able to do that. We had a nice big long run there in the first series that put us in great position to score, and I think from that moment on, everyone, not only on offense but defense and special teams as well, we all look at that and say, hey, this is what it can be for 4 quarters. And I think it really inspired us to, all of us, to come out and have great confidence, great enthusiasm to attack the whole game that way, and I think that's what we saw.
Well, it was a pretty solid performance from Code Black, who also held Tuskegee to less than 250 yards of total offense, including just 89 yards on the ground. Talk about your defense on Saturday.
Defense responded well. From a week ago at North Greenville, we had given up a lot of big plays, which was very disappointing for us, a lot of yards and a lot of points. And so we wanted to get back into our comfort zone of playing hard, playing fast, playing together, and obviously keeping points off from the scoreboard and getting the ball back to our offense. And I think we did that for the most part. We were put in a tough situation with us turning the ball over deep in our zone there, and so that was tough. We had a long drive that they drove on us. I was a little bit disappointed to see that, but I was pleased to see that we only gave up a field goal in one of those other opportunities that Tuskegee got into our red zone. And I think our guys came together well and they responded very well. Very proud of our defense.
All right, we're going to take our first commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to see some of the highlights from the homecoming game. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report. We're still joined by head football coach Shane Richardson. Coach, we have some clips of the game. Do you mind walking us through them?
Sure will. Here we've got our kick return unit, and we call it the SEAL unit. And we had a couple of good kickoff returns from a week ago, and then here we had a really good one. We had two really good ones on the day, and JoJo Spann and Taryn Huffman back there, they've done a great job for us. Here on offense, you can see that Pat O'Brien gives the fake out of the backfield, and he hits JoJo Spann for the score. That was actually a fourth down call that we decided to go for it. We called a timeout and set up a really good play right there. Right here, we're stringing out the option, and they do a really good job defensively. We do as far as creating the takeaway after Tuskegee had driven down and gotten really close to scoring there. That was a big play that our defense would come up with right there. Ben Utter, punting, we were able to pin him really, really deep here, and it was a good job of covering right here. We had about 4 to 5 guys around the ball, and we thought it was a safety. They had stayed outside of the goal line there just enough to have forward progress. Matt Davis was solid on the day with a field goal right there, did a good job. Defensively here, we were able to come up with a good shift of momentum. Mike Lawrence has a pick there and changes the momentum right there in the first play of that series. Rontonio Stanley, one of his really good runs of the day, was really a catalyst for our offense, and you can see that run right there was just a lot of effort, a lot of heart, and he's been running the ball that way. And then you see him here again, Rontonio, at the end of the game where we came out with about 3.5 minutes left, and he was able to take the first drive of the series, the first play of the series, and take it in the end zone. Defensively, at the end of the game, Mike Keck, fantastic play on his part, one of his 3 sacks on the day, and of course, it's always very comforting and reassuring when you've got a guy that can rush the passer like Mike does, and he actually kind of missed the tackle, and he held on with just one hand to bring the guy down, and he's done a fantastic job for us all season, and he was able to kind of put the stamp on that game as well.
Well, let's jump into breaking this game down. The Braves get the opening kick and respond immediately by driving 59 yards in 6 plays, including a 27-yard touchdown pass from Patrick O'Brien to JoJo Spann to put you guys up early. You talked about coming out swinging, but how important was that first touchdown?
Very important. We hadn't scored a whole lot in the opening part of the game, working up all through the season, and so it was very good for us to establish momentum right away. And we talked earlier about how it gave our guys confidence. I think it showed, it kind of validated what we were doing all week long, and talking about coming out swinging, coming out competing, coming out and establishing our presence right away. And we did that, and it was a great end result there, and not that we finished the game as an end right there, but that was the result of what we had practiced and prepared like throughout the week, and so I was very pleased to see that.
Well, UNCP gets a 30-yard field goal from Matt Davis early in the second quarter to go up 10-0, but Tuskegee gets on the board later in the period after a costly turnover deep in your own territory. It was really your first mistake of the game, but there didn't seem to be any panic on the sideline.
No, I think our guys handled that very well, and we continually talk about adversity in the form of Murphy striking and Murphy really is kind of this fictional concept where we say anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and it's Murphy's Law. And we kind of put a picture of him as a fictional character, a really ugly-looking dog up on the screen in a team meeting, and our guys buy into it. It's kind of fun for them, and but it's a real thing. There's a lot of adversity that happens, and we train it, we talk about it, we coach it, and that's what happened. And you know, as a coaching staff, we want to make sure that we are really breathing confidence into our players as much as them being expected to be confident and overcome adversity. And so we want to make sure we set that tone on the sideline as well, and I think that's what you saw on the sideline is just a whole coaching staff and team that buys into the concept of being able to be poised and overcome those things.
Well, Mike Lawrence put your team in pretty good field position with an interception 2 drives later, and the Braves drive 56 yards in 4 plays to take the 16-7 lead heading into the locker room after a 38-yard touchdown run by Rontonio Stanley. What did you tell your team at the break?
Well, we had one half that we needed to really put the hammer down, and we wanted to make sure that we left no stone unturned. We wanted to come out and play with great effort, great focus, and really finish the game well. And I like the way that we started, but now let's make sure we even play that much harder and overcome anything that's thrown at us here in the second half, and let's make sure that we respond well. We knew Tuskegee would respond, and they did, and I thought we were ready for that, and we also were able to respond in the fourth quarter there to seal the game. And so our message was just strong, to finish strong, and we did that.
All right, well, we're going to take our next commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the second half of the homecoming game, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report. We're still joined by head football coach Shane Richardson. Coach, Tuskegee scores the first 10 points of the second half and actually takes the 17-16 lead after a 1-yard run by Kevin Lacey with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. What did you see from your team on the sideline after the Golden Tigers took the lead for the first time in this game?
I think we were hungry to want to come back and make some plays to get us out of that situation. Kind of talked with a couple of the offensive guys that were going on in the field after that, and they were confident. They had a sense of urgency to them. They knew that we needed to score. They knew that we needed to put ourselves in a better position to go ahead and take the lead again. And so I think they knew what needed to be done. It's great when you have players that are holding each other accountable and are understanding things before the coach even has to tell them. That's a great feeling to have, and I think there was a sign of maturity there with our team to know that they wanted to go out there and they wanted to put ourselves in a great position, and it didn't take a whole lot of motivating to do that.
Well, Rontonio Stanley caps an 8-play, 54-yard drive with a 1-yard touchdown run with 5:29 left to give your team the lead for good, and then adds a 45-yard scoring run 2 minutes later to finish the scoring campaign in the game. You got what you needed late offensively, but your defense really stepped up in this game when it was on the line.
Yeah, I think we've been in a couple of those situations this year where the defense had to come up with stopping a drive, stopping the 2-minute offense, and we've been able to do that. I think we've been at our best when we can really put pressure on the quarterback. We are able to know that they're going to throw the ball, and we're able to go back and settle into some of our coverages that we're very comfortable with playing. And so really proud of the way that guys kind of relish that opportunity on defense to come out and put the game on our shoulders and be able to step up and do that and perform that way. And so that's a great tribute to our defense and the leaders that we have and the guys that are competitive on that side of the ball.
Well, let's talk about Rontonio Stanley, who finished the game with 131 yards rushing and his first 3 touchdowns of the season. What was the difference that you saw in Rontonio on Saturday as compared to the first 4 games of the season?
I think Rontonio is into a groove now, and he's comfortable, and he's been able to work through some things early in the season that he's learned from and is able to just respond to in a better way. Rontonio actually missed a game with us earlier in the season, and he had a situation that came up that resulted in some discipline, and he's a very humble guy now, and he has responded extremely well, and I couldn't be more proud of Rontonio and the effort that he's shown and the attitude that he's responded with. And he's really decided to take that situation and let it make him better, and he has. He's come out to practice and just worked, been extremely committed to what we're doing, and you saw that on Saturday, and I think that's a great result of him responding with great character and great learning from what took place, and he's able to put it behind him and now step up in a major way, and he did that on Saturday.
Well, your team will get a break for the first time this season heading into a bye week. A lot of coaches don't like heading into an open week after a big emotional victory like this one. But what are your thoughts on having a bye week, especially with a road game against a top 10 team on the horizon?
I think it's great. We're at a great place for a bye. We're exactly halfway through the regular season, and I think our guys can use it not only from a physical standpoint, but also a mental, emotional standpoint. We are not satisfied, and the message this week is we will continue to be hungry and stir the hunger, and we want to have a sense of urgency and intensity about us this week. We're going to be smart with the schedule. We're going to make sure that we use it very wisely, but our players will still know the importance of what we need to get done this week, and I look forward to, we'll step up to the challenge going down to Florence here next week and being able to be ready for a ranked team.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Jen, a lot.
And we will see you in 2 weeks to talk about North Alabama.
Sounds great.
All right. Well, we're going to take our next commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking cross country with head coach Peter Ormsby. So stay tuned.